Huh, where are we? We in Texas? Are we in Kansas? Well, technically, anything east of I-25 in Colorado should be Kansas. Huh. We are in Kyota. And if you follow my channel, I've done a documentary on this ghost town. So we rode the 2025 Goldwing here to Kyota for a reason. And that reason is to talk about the 2025 Goldwing. So this is not the 50th anniversary edition, which only costs a little bit more, and you get a nice book and you get some nice things with it. And I don't need any of those things or the book. It is still 50 years old as far as the Goldwing model, name, year, whatever. So this is a 2025, and I'm about to pick it apart. But don't drop the video. I'm going to pick it apart, so hopefully Honda will fix some things. But I do love the bike. So why'd you buy it if you don't like it? I did, and I do like it. I like it a lot. In fact, I'm going to state here and now, for long hauls, for 10-hour days in the saddle, there is nothing I would choose over this bike. I did not have to change anything to this bike to put it on the highway the same weekend I bought it and ride the Going to the Sun Road in Montana. It didn't need a new seat. It didn't need a new windshield. It didn't need the bars raised. I don't really need the seat rest. It fits. I've often said that I don't think motorcycle manufacturers understand that most male humans are 6 foot and under, and that we're always raising bars, we're always adjusting seats, we're always doing something. This bike fits me, and it fits me for 10 hours in the saddle, and I don't have to change anything. I might eventually, if I put a backrest on it, then I'll probably have to put Healy bars to bring the bars up and back as well, and then I'll probably want highway pegs. But until that day, I am totally cool with taking this bike out tomorrow and doing another 10-hour ride on it. So, that said, in this ghostly land, which I've never actually seen a ghost, I've seen humans here. It is really cool. That used to be a Methodist church. This used to be a general store before a tornado took the upper story off. What do you do when you live in a town on the eastern plains of the Pawnee grasslands? When a tornado removes your upper story, you put another roof on it and you keep the building going, because these bricks weren't made here. Anyway, Kyota, K-E-O-T-A. You can look it up and see my documentary on the place. I'm not doing it again. What I am going to do, as I said, is tear the bike apart. So, for one thing, this jacket, I want to put it in the side case here. Now, Goldwings, they have all kinds of, well, all kinds of storage here. Used to hear echoes in my last generation Goldwing side bags. This is an armored leather jacket, and well, I'm not going to be able to fit it and my emergency tire inflator in there at the same time. And eventually, my wedding ring is going to hurt the paint here as I'm pressing on it to close it. So I got to remember to use my hand. Yeah, storage space. Well, Corbin can fix that for you. And I can tell you the reason why Oh, this is a problem here too. Well, the reason why they went to a more narrow bag is for streamlining both weight. In 2018, they streamlined it. They chopped off weight and they improved the airflow of the bike, so there was less drag. At some point later, I want to say 2021, they increased the trunk size because so many Goldwing owners screamed they couldn't even fit both helmets in here. And that is true, and now you can. However, how do you close it? So I removed the Honda badge and put a reflector there because I'd much rather have a reflector there. And they say, close it here, okay? Well, maybe I did, maybe I didn't. Let's find out. I did give it a hard slam. Okay, that time I did, but it's a 50-50 toss-up. You heard it slam. Oftentimes at a gas station, I'll put something in there, buy a soda, throw it in there, start the bike, and it will give me an alarm that my trunk is open. And then you'll see me punching the rear seat to get the latch to close. So, fit and finish, Honda, fit and finish. Nobody tested that apparently at the factory. And I'm amazed by that because Honda's usually perfect. The last generation Goldwings were fantastic fit and finish. Speaking of fit and finish, what's this? What's that? Well, it's not a rubber bumper, that's plastic. That covers the tow hook. There's a hook in there for tying down to a trailer, but it's held in with one plastic clip underneath, and that's it. So if you're spray washing your bike, you're going to get water up in there. And how this goes on to be waterproof, frankly, it doesn't. I think this part is malformed a little bit. So maybe on some bikes it goes on, maybe on others like mine, there's always going to be a gap there to collect dust and dirt. And that is very unlike Honda. Another thing, while I'm picking things apart. So you'll see I've got the Marshall Miller grip system here. It works great, try it, it's just hair bands. What's that? I'm not used to my throttle being loose. You have one that's always glued on, really hard, solid, and every time you're on a bumpy road, your hand is going all over the throttle. It's kind of like your voice going, ah, 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 ah. Yeah, Honda, fit and finish, man. What's going on? I've tried tightening it, this just spins, it doesn't really tighten. This is true in all of them. Show me a Goldwing 2018 and up that doesn't have that. I'm nitpicking. Yes, I'm nitpicking. These are things you need to know before you buy a Honda Goldwing. However, the rest of it is fantastic. Back to cheap plastics. If you're in the know, okay, that's an air scoop. I was going to make fun of it and say it's a CD player, and the CDs just keep falling through. Especially when you put in I Fall to Pieces by Velvet Revolver. It just falls right on through. Yeah, not a CD player. It's an air scoop. And I picked on it, I believe, when they first came out in 2018. It seems like it's really chintzy plastic. And you can't just close it any old way. Oh, I got lucky there. They put these little nubs on there so that you'll press centrally to close it. Should it be that hard? Should it require that much thought? Okay, so Honda Goldwing has Android CarPlay, or maybe it's Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. There we go. Let's go with Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. And the interesting thing about it is sometimes Google Maps works and other times it doesn't. Okay, you see this map right here? This is not where I am at. I'm at Interstate Honda, and there is no road going that way called North Hightower Road. And Kyota is not 2 hours and 15 minutes away. In fact, it's only 1 hour away. Google Maps is messing up on this bike. And as I move forward, you will see it jog all over the place. How's that? I thought I found the solution to that. I still haven't yet. It could be a thing with my phone, but yet I've got 2 cars in the garage that feed off of the GPS and Android Auto just perfectly. Yeah, just rebooting your phone doesn't fix it. Unpairing and repairing the phone doesn't fix it. Yeah, that is a known issue with the newer Honda Goldwings. And some of you Goldwing owners are just going to say, well, just use the Goldwing, the Honda GPS. Well, guess what? In our age that we've gone into of everybody tightening their belt and nobody having any faith in anybody's economy, the Japanese have removed in 2025 any semblance of GPS. So now you are stuck using your phone, and you better have downloaded the maps if you're going to go ghost towning out in the Nowheresville, because you might not have signal. And if you don't have signal, you don't have a map. And then we're stuck finding directions the old way, asking for help. So, let's see. I'm trying to think of every single nitpick any Honda Goldwing rider would like to tell the world. How about getting to the gas? Now, it's an ancient Chinese secret, so I shouldn't tell you how we get to the gas, but it's not by pressing here. It's not anything up here. In fact, it's a button in the side case. So I have to open the side case, press a button, then this will open. Okay, well, if you've got that so stacked with stuff because you're on a trip that when you press it, all your stuff falls out, that's not ideal either. Okay, so while I'm nitpicking, here's something that needs to be fixed. The BMW K1600 GTL has a few things over the Goldwing. One is horsepower, sportiness, not comfort. However, this compartment here has a USB port. Doesn't come with a cable. You got to buy that separately. But it's for your phone to plug in, so you can use Android Auto while you're charging it. However, on an 85 to 90 degree day, your phone will overheat, even in a silver compartment. I feel sorry for anybody with a black bike that's probably overheating at 50 degrees. BMW puts a fan in here to get some air circulation. What I had to do, riding through Wyoming and Montana on my Going to the Sun Road ride, was I had to flip this open so that air would come in, hit this, be deflected in there, and keep the phone cool. And that was the best way. I've since put on a heat dissipative case, but I don't think that's going to solve the issue completely. And you can find heat dissipative cases on Amazon. They're few and far between, but they exist. The idea is they don't lock in the heat, they let the phone breathe. Well, all well and fine, but if this doesn't breathe, you're in trouble. So, yeah, ride with that open if it's a warm day. And it's 80 today. First week of October, 80 degrees out here on the Pawnee grasslands. All right, I think I've picked it apart. To go over it again, trunk doesn't close every time. Side cases, they don't hold a lot. The map system, at least for Android Auto, doesn't always work when you need it the most. And getting to the gas can be a drag. But now that I've said all that, let's change our tune. In fact, not only will we change our tune, I think we'll change our location. Because what a fun bike to ride. And the straight roads just don't do it justice. We got to find us some twisties. We got to find us some more lively scenery. So we're going to say goodbye to Kyota and pop in another location. And I'm going to tell you what I love about the 2025 Goldwing and why I do not regret buying one. Stay tuned. So why buy a DCT? I mean, without a clutch, is it even a motorcycle? Well, because I can do this with it. So, start. And 60. That was in tour mode, that wasn't even in sport mode. So I'm at the top of Risk Canyon. You can see this gorgeous view here. And I come across these two ladies on a bike I thought I recognized, but I don't. I've never seen this bike before. So I'm pretty sure that's not how you ride a motorcycle, but I'm not going to tell anybody they can't. I mean, she's a better rider than me if she can ride it that way.
One of the unique features of this bike, it's one of the only bikes ever made that you can actually ride backwards.
All right, off. I got to try it. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. So I have the mic in my helmet, so I got to get kind of close to you, okay? This is how I flirt. I just tell people there's a mic in there, and there really isn't. No, there is. There is. So who's the rider? Who's the passenger?
I'm the passenger.
You're the passenger. Okay. And so, what's your name?
I'm Julie.
Julie. And Julie, you're from England?
I'm from England, yes.
You're from. Oh, that's awesome.
Born in England, but she has an American accent.
Just fake it then. You can fake it. It's okay. We'll let you.
People always say that. People always tell me. If I still listening, we are citizens.
I'm not worried about you. Really not. What is this?
This is a Yamaha 250.
Hang on a second. I have an idea. You see, I'm not lying.
Oh, okay.
I do have a microphone.
Okay.
So this is a Yamaha 250, but what model?
Yes, I think it's called, it goes by SX 250 as well, I think. Or is it SR 250? One of those. But it does look like the SR 400.
I had an SR 500.
Okay.
That was in 1979, and that, okay. I thought maybe this was the SR 400 that they released a little while ago. Does it? I mean, gone too a little while ago. No Kickstarter though, huh?
No kickstart, but I think you could put it on if you really wanted to. So this is electric start, carbureted. This one doesn't have the pack. They come with a weird box at the back. Some of them. It's a little plastic box. It's about this size.
Wow.
This one is the seat version, and I don't know what else I'm going to do. Oh,
well, let's take a look at it. So one carburetor, one cylinder, so it's a thumper.
Yeah, and this
I'm sorry, what year? 80?
82.
An 82.
And this one came with the higher bars, which some people don't like because they kind of interfere with getting on and off, especially if you have luggage. But I find it really comfortable.
That would be comfortable because I'm always raising bars.
Yeah, yeah.
This is so cool.
There is no gas gauge in it, so you have to measure the miles.
Typical.
Yep. I always
had this. If you don't reset that odometer, you're in trouble.
Yeah. We had to go to LaPorte to get some gas before we came up here.
Because it only has like, that looks like a 3-gallon tank.
Yeah, it's not massive. What does yours take?
It's a 5.4 gallon tank, I think.
It's almost like a completely different vehicle.
But well, it is. I mean, it's, that's a highway cruiser.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm up here proving that it does so much more.
Yeah.
And there I am leaving my power on, but it's all LEDs. It's fine.
Yeah.
So I didn't get your name.
I'm Grace.
Grace. Awesome, Grace. And do you ride like that when you're the passenger, so you can see everywhere you've been?
You bet.
Oh, you do?
You gotta have eyes on both sides. You gotta have eyes everywhere.
There you go. You're the mirrors then.
Exactly.
Okay, you heard me tear down the Goldwing. Now it's time to lift it up because it is worth lifting up. Where am I though? Am I on the right road? Am I supposed to go up there with that bike? Would you go up there with that bike? Well, I'm not going to go up there with that bike. So, the almighty Goldwing Tour DCT. So, why would you get a DCT? I mean, a DCT is, you might as well ride a scooter, dude. It's not a motorcycle if it doesn't have a clutch lever. Well, you know, even scooters can be different. So, the DCT. The DCT is really handy if you're going to put 10-hour days in the saddle and you start making some mistakes by the end of your day. Like, did I downshift at that red light? And we all do that little tap dance. Well, I wanted something completely effortless for long days in the saddle. And so I've named this the USS Effortless, because everything about riding it is completely effortless. They say that Goldwings are old wings. They're old man bikes. Well, the other thing that they say about old men is how wise they are. So, I'm older than I look. And even I've learned, especially after riding 200 bikes and owning, 30 something, I haven't counted. One thing I've learned is that there is something to be said for hidden power. So why do old men trade in their Mustang GTs? They trade in their Camaros. Why do they trade them in for Cadillacs, Lincoln Continentals, Buicks? Because those cars have all the power of their muscle cars hidden under a much more comfortable package. And in this case, you have 120, what is it? Let me see here. 124 horsepower. Yes, even on the DCT version. 124 horsepower, 126 foot-pounds of torque. Now I'm going to tell you, when the Goldwings, when the Gen 5s came out, I don't know how they do the Gen things, I'm just going to admit it. But I'm going to say in 2001, when the GL 1800s came out, they looked like spaceships. All the Harley guys were making fun of them. But none of the Harleys at that point in time were putting out 118 horsepower. None of the Harleys at that time had a reverse gear. None of the Harleys at that time had an engine that would last 300,000 miles or more before needing any major repairs. And that can still be the case. I've yet to see anybody with a Milwaukee 8 engine that's even cleared 300,000. So, when the new one came out, 2018, it looks even more spaceshipy than the last one, but it is considerably thinner. So, a question for those of you that have the older generation Goldwings, should you upgrade? I've had 3 of those Goldwings, and I've had a 2014 Valkyrie GL 1800. And you're probably thinking, well, it's the same engine, just with different Tupperware, right? It's not the same engine. This one is an 1833cc engine. The older gen was an 1832cc engine, so big whoopee-doo, 1 extra cc. But you also have a case of compression. So this one has more horsepower than the older one and more torque, slightly more torque, because the compression has been upped to 10.5 to 1. It still takes regular fuel. And here's where everybody chimes in. I give it premium. I give it the good stuff. Yeah, you're throwing your money away. It's made for regular fuel. Honda designed it for regular fuel on purpose, and this is what it does. Now, so this is 10.5 to 1 compression. The last generation was 9.8 to 1 compression. So you do get a little more horsepower, a little more torque out of this one. For example, the last gen was at the upper end of what everybody says, 118 horsepower, 123 foot-pounds of torque. You compare this one to 124 horsepower, 126 foot-pounds of torque. So there you go. According to Honda, in 2018, when they released this bike, the only thing shared with the old bike, the old Goldwing, is a handful of fasteners. So yes, the engine was redesigned. The fuel injectors are different. They're remapped. There is nothing interchangeable between this one and your last Goldwing. What makes it so much better? It handles better. It handles like a motorcycle should. So like I said, I've had 3 of the last generation Goldwings. And even recently, and you haven't even seen a video of the blue and black because I've never shot a video of the blue and black 2017 that I had. And I didn't keep it for very long because I realized after all the bikes I've ridden, a bike with only 5 gears, really? In this day and age? I was always looking for the 6th gear. I was always wishing I could save a little bit more fuel economy by having a 6th gear. Well, the DCT behind me has 7. And it's worth it. And even that, sometimes I still wonder, could I have an 8th gear? The older ones, they were heavy. In fact, I have that figure. So the one behind me is 856 pounds fueled in oil. My old one was 63 pounds heavier at 919 pounds. Now that's not such a bad thing considering all your Harley Cruisers and Indian Cruisers at the time were 900 pounds and many of them still are. But I'll take the lighter weight, thank you very much. Your other difference between this and the older ones is my rear tire on the one behind me is 200 mil. It's 200 millimeters width, which on gravel roads like this, I welcome. It gives you a stability at a red light that the older generation doesn't have. When I pull up to a red light on the older generation, especially 2 up, it gets a little wobbly. You can see it if you ride behind somebody else on the older Goldwings. Watch them as they come up to a stop. They just weren't designed to go slow. The throttle on this is so much more improved. I can do very slow controlled maneuvers with it. Can I do cones? I don't know, I haven't tried. Might have to ride the rear brake if you want to do a really tight U-turn because it's a DCT and you can't feather the clutch. But with the last generation Goldwings, just coming into the bank to do a drive-through, that was a case of having to feather the clutch just right because the throttle was so snatchy. The throttle was so grabby. You either didn't have enough power to complete the turn, or you'd give it some throttle and throw the bike forward. Yeah, this one doesn't have that problem. I can go as slow as I want to. And if that's not going slow enough for you, they gave it a walk mode. The engine, super smooth. So, this is the best bike I've ever owned. It does everything super, super well. The shape of it has been streamlined to shave off, I'm trying to remember, I want to say it's 20% less wind drag than the last generation. That also means that it gives you more wind. And I noticed that in 2018, it didn't shelter me as much from the wind as my older ones did. And at first I didn't like that. And I've actually nicknamed it, and I'm not the first to do it, the ST1800, because they trimmed it down so much it was not like a Goldwing, it was like a sport touring bike. That's okay, as most of us are ready to get rid of our big, heavy cruisers and go with something much more nimble. And this is something much more nimble. And on warm days, I actually do appreciate having more air coming to me and having a more feel that I'm on a motorcycle than in a car. And that's why they did these really cute little things right here, where the air will get to you. The mirrors are smaller, the mirrors are airstreamed, and the mirrors can do that for parking in the garage and not hitting a mirror with your car door. So my last Goldwing, I would have been a little shifty on bringing it up this road, because turning it around at a low speed was a little tricky. It takes a lot of practice. And that's because a lot of the bike seems teeter-tottery. When you're at a stop, normally you can just put a toe to the ground on any other bike and hold it up. And you can do the same to this bike. But my last Goldwings, I had to have a full foot on the ground, and if I'm riding two up, both feet had to be on the ground because it was just too tippy. The also lack of teeter-totter can be put down to the speakers being here instead of the 5-inch big magnet speakers being up here. Your buttons are set up differently here. Naturally, they're not. You don't get the 50 buttons that you do on the other one. You get only a handful of buttons, and you kind of get them twice. The seat, really wide, really supportive. I don't need to change it. Might add a backrest later, I don't know. It's a very wide seat though. They changed the seat since the 2018 release, and they changed the backrest because the backrest previously had the missus sitting almost leaning forward, which was not as comfortable as your last Gen 5s. And so it's got a little bit more of a lean back now for her and a little more comfortable. It is certainly a very wide seat for her. It is not the leather seat it used to be, but it also does not get hot. So it is wider though here, very supportive. I have not gotten tired sitting on it in 10-hour days. I know some of you are going to go, oh, I bought a Corbin seat. Okay, you bought a shiny leather wrap brick. I would prefer not to. So I like my seat the way it is. One difference though between this bike and other bikes is that it splays your legs out further. You're more in an A-frame with your legs now than you were on the last one where you could just stand straight up and down. Now I'm kind of in an A-frame support. Is it better than your Gen 5? Yes, and in almost every way. The only way I'd say it's not better is I miss the ability to stand up. I can still stand up on this bike, but being that, as I was saying, it kind of bow legs you, kind of A-frames your legs. Your old generation, I mentioned it's a 5-speed. Standard Goldwing Tour gives you a 6-speed. Now most of your bikes that come from Japan are going to be DCT, so 7-speed. Your last bike gave you 6.6 gallons of fuel, which also made it heavy. It's part of that 919 pounds. With the streamlining and the higher compression engine of this one, and some other fuel efficiency changes, the new one has 5.5 gallons. That's 1.1 gallons less than your last bike, but the range is about the same. You're still going to be looking for fuel at about 200 miles. You're still going to be able to go without that extra fuel for another 20 or so. Other than that, what do you get on a Goldwing that you don't get on the Harley and Indian cruisers? How about ground clearance? How about suspension? How about a suspension of about 4.1 inches minimal, which lets me lean the bike like you've seen, but also the road clearance lets me lean the bike without slowing down in these corners, once again making it an effortless thing to ride. I'm not scraping floorboards. Yeah, the USS Effortless. Have I rambled on enough? Have I sang its praises enough to cover up how I've tore it down in the beginning? I'm just going to say that my other wings I had to be in the mood to ride those other wings. I had to be in the mood to take the heavy bike down the driveway. And if I was going to do a whole bunch of tight turns in the city, I didn't want to. This, I'll take it in the city. I don't have to feather the clutch. I don't have to ride the clutch. I don't have to pull the clutch in every 4 minutes and stop and go traffic. It's just give it a twist of the throttle and you're moving. So I don't fear my hand wearing out in stop and go traffic. I'm going to get out and ride. You should get out and ride too. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to me ramble on, but there's a lot to be said about a new Honda Goldwing. The Goldwings were the king of the touring motorcycles for 40 years until the BMW K1600 stole the crown for a little bit. Personally, I'd rather pay that less than $300 first service for a Goldwing than pay anything related to a BMW, at least here in the United States. Thank you for watching Riding with Marshall. Tune in again, won't you? Well, to quote the movie Labyrinth, she chose down. Enjoy the ride. This is Whale Rock. Let me say it again. The brakes on this bike are so much better controlled than the old wing. Say hi to Whale Rock. I will. Bye, Whale.